Welcome to episode 7. The episode with no name, no meaning, and no rulings. So,
I'm Wiley.
I'm Will, and we're out here for another episode of, I guess you could call it Wayne's World again, like the first pilot episode was.
Absolutely.
We figured no topic tonight. We would just do whatever we wanted to. It's our show. I guess we get to do what we want. So, welcome to all you YouTubers out there watching us. It's good to see the brethren and the ladies here. Brother Tyler, invite everyone in and leave the door open.
So, in case you just joined us for the first time, I'm Wiley Forrester. This is Will Moore. We're both members of lodges in Gwinnett County, Georgia, which I belong to Buford 292, and Will belongs to Decula number 433. We wanted to put this show together just so we could talk some masonry and talk some other stuff, and most of all, we want to just have fun. We have fun hanging out. For all of you that may or may not know that follow my wife, we put her in timeout before the show ever started. She's I didn't say she could come out and play with my friends, but she came on out anyway. And of course, I'm in the doghouse, which is nothing new for me. Point of order for us tonight. We wanted to make sure that everyone understands that anything that we say or any opinions we may have are strictly ours, mine and Will's. We're not sanctioned by any Grand Lodge or our Grand Lodge or anything of that nature. We're just guys that want to get together and talk a little fun, and masonry just happens to be what we do for fun. I do want to talk about, at our last episode, we talked about President Truman, most worshipful brother, and President Truman.
And if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it.
So President Truman, he served as Grand Master while he was still state senator in 1940 and 41. Okay, and I said that I didn't think that there was another Masonic president who served as Grand Master as well, but I was wrong. It happened. You can mark it down. But Andrew Jackson, who was the 7th president of the United States of America, was also Grand Master of Tennessee in 1822 through 1824. That makes we had 2 guys who served as Grand Master and also served as President of these United States. And I wanted to make sure that we got that clear. We talked about the book, Brother Truman. Matter of fact, I got my copy on order.
How do I rewind that to hear Wiley say it again? You can watch this episode as many times as you want and see him say he was wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
It's here forever.
But anyway, my wife's texting me saying, "Get me out of timeout." Well, she'll be out of timeout in 5 minutes. But anyway, but I wanted to talk about that with President Truman and President Jackson. I didn't know. I did know, but I had forgotten. When we finished up last week, I was looking through some pictures of when I was up at Philadelphia, up at Freemasons Hall, there at their Grand Lodge building, and there's stained glasses of things that's got Brother Washington in there. It's got Brother Ben Franklin, and some other things in this massive room. But just know that we corrected it. We were wrong. I was wrong, not you. You're not wrong. You're there for me. So anyway, that's where we are.
Well, and that's one of the things we've said. We're here to learn as well. So we're glad that the brethren reached out to us and said, hey, there was another one. Because we learned something from that. And so it's a two-way channel here. It may be a little...
Well, it wasn't that we were just totally wrong. I had just forgotten.
Right.
So thus is like our thoughts in our last episode, we were just random thinking. Well, today I've been randomly thinking, it's getting closer and closer for me to have to pack up the rest of the things out of this place, and my mind's not all the way focused. So, we just gotta keep pressing on and keep moving on. Yep. So tonight, I'm sort of tapped out mentally, just to tell you the truth. Between what's going on, I hope everyone's still staying safe from the virus that's going on, and I hope that everyone's calling a brother You and I had talked earlier that what you were so impressed with, and you were impressed by what you've seen personally and things that you've witnessed as it pertains to our brethren and how they're communicating with one another. So won't you share that with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I told you last episode or the episode before that the Kilo Lodge, the lodge I'm a member of, we got together on a video chat last Wednesday. Well, we did it again last night. And we've had brothers pop in that we haven't talked to or seen in a while. And that's fantastic. And I've been checking in with other brothers and watching what they post on social media. And a lot of brethren are reaching out to brothers they haven't talked to in a long time. They're having these video conferences. They're getting together on texts. And it's fantastic to see us get back to more of a grassroots communication with each other that we seem to lose because we go to lodges all the time. We lose sight of, hey, there's brethren that don't come to lodge that we haven't talked to. This has really brought some of that back home for a lot of us, and I'm so proud of the brethren and of the ladies of these brethren reaching out to each other and talking to each other and chewing the fat and enjoying each other's time together.
Correct.
That we just take so much advantage of. This is probably the best thing that's happened out of this whole virus situation is people are connecting back on a human level again that we haven't seen in decades.
No, exactly. I mean, just the ability to go back to picking up a phone, or now we can video with each other and talk with each other through video. Sometimes it's just like being there. We've talked about humility. We've talked about brotherly love and morality and relief. Speaking of relief, I know we talked about in our last episode that our Grand Lodge was sponsoring a drive to get the KN95 masks for the medical field, and we were going to donate those to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. I'm proud to say that we ordered 3,000 of those already. That order was placed on Wednesday. They're working try to figure out a PayPal solution, some quick solution to be able for brethren to monetarily contribute.
Use credit cards.
Yeah, use credit cards in that. I made a call to the chairman of that foundation last week or this week and wanted to know some questions and why we can't do this, and of course we want to be able to try to help as many people as we can because that's what we do. Yeah. We don't ask for the why or anything in return. We just want to be serviceable to others, and we talk about that in our lodges about being serviceable to each other and to mankind. So
and I think people are starting now that we've been in this for several weeks. A lot of people, and it's not just brethren, but a lot of people have learned how to get back into that old fold of checking on things and helping others. And it's been so great to see. I heard a news report this morning that Tyler Perry paid for everyone's. They have the old folks grocery time at Kroger. Well, he paid for all the groceries across the state of. I think it was across the state of Georgia, a big portion of it, for all those people who went shopping this morning.
That was in Atlanta Metro, I believe. But that was yesterday morning.
It was yesterday. Yeah,
that was yesterday morning.
That is real proof that there are people out there trying to help, and they're trying to help with their money, and they're helping these folks who really need it.
Well, and I know that we talk about it often, and we generally, we want to talk masonry, but what better thing to talk about than being serviceable to others? We talk about serving our craft. We talk about serving others. But now's the time where the rubber will meet the road and we can put those things into use. How are you going to serve your fellow man?
Yeah.
And now in this hour, the dark hour that we talk about. And I know we don't want to, we don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's a serious thing, and as far as masonry's involved, we've got to extend that right hand of fellowship, and we've got to, even though we can't physically do it, but metaphorically we can extend that hand of charity out to those, and don't be too proud that if you need charity to ask for it. And that brings us to another point, and we've talked about it on every show that we've done here. Brother and ladies, yes, if you know of any person
or you yourself
that needs help with something to eat, you need something. If we can provide, we will provide. Drop us an email, drop us a message. I'll get in touch with someone who might be in your area that'll help. It can be done anonymously to get it to you. Yeah. And I know pride gets in the way. I understand it. We're males, and what pride is a dangerous thing, and because we get so caught up in keeping up with the Joneses, we forget that there's a lot of times that we as Masons we get stuck in our own little rut and going down our own path, but we don't understand the words of counsel and comfort. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We forget that's what we're here for, and it's not necessarily a monetary thing. It's not a physical thing, but it's a mental and a spiritual thing. I want to believe that I could trust all Masons like the promises that we made, and they'd live by it. But we all know that sometimes, that's not necessarily the true case.
True.
But for the most part, people are generally good, man.
They are. And so here's a question I want to pose to the brethren out there. How is home life for you? I'm sure if you're like me, that first week to 2 weeks, it was rough being at home with your significant other.
True.
Every day.
Lord, I know.
So how has that evened out for you, if it has? How do you make time for yourself since you're home all the time? Even if you go to work, you're still home most evenings because you don't have a place to go to, like a lodge or a Masonic function or something of that nature. How are you dealing with that? Because I know personally, Wiley and I use this time to get away. We get to spend time with you, and I know that Michelle sits in another room real near us, but we lock the door and don't let her in here on purpose because we need our time alone. How do you handle that?
I know that some of you still may be working too, and you may be on our chat line. We've been Masons for a very long time, so this is the most time we spent with our spouse in a number of years.
Right.
I know at least 15 for me that this is the most I have been home. I agree with you, Brother Cooper. I'm essential too, but there are a bunch of us who are down, who have had to stay home and do the things. And I understand the honey-do list gets done and the yard work gets done, but what are you doing to find your fix for masonry?
Right.
What are you missing out on? And I know that Boris Brother Brian, he's got a book club going on over there that he belongs to, and he puts out a blog, and I'm sure Boris Brother Mark Bradley is really in trouble because he messed with Miss Gay's pantry.
Oh no!
I'm surprised he's still got a place to sleep. Because he's, that lady likes to cook. I sure would like to have one of her king cakes once all of this passes on, especially since I'm moving up there close to them now. But anyway, what are you guys doing to stay busy, and what are you guys doing to pass Freemasonry? Are you meeting with some of your lodge members? Remember what we talked about with Zoom and other things. Be sure you password protect those things. I know I got a letter from the Grand Chapter or Grand York Bodies this week talking about the Zoom meetings and how you need to password protect it, get a call-in login or something to protect yourself while you're talking. it is for Christians. This is Passover, and it's the weekend of Easter.
That's what Tom's just saying. Works Brother Tom.
We know that a lot of folks would rather be at their sunrise services on Sunday and remember what the day is about. Whatever religion that you're practicing at this time, maybe you bring best wishes and best hope. May all your prayers be answered.
Well, that's another thing. How are your churches handling the Easter services? Are they? I know some of them do have the ability to broadcast stuff. How have you heard from your church or your local synagogue or whatever how they're going to handle Easter this year? Post it up in there. I'd like to see how some of the different churches are handling that.
I see that Right Worship Brother Moses Gomez is on from New Jersey, up there in the hot spot where there's so much loss of life and so many sick and afflicted right now. He's talking about our brother and our president, General Washington, George Washington. Alexandria Lodge there in Virginia is named Alexandria Washington Lodge, number 22. Meets there at the George Washington Memorial there in Alexandria.
I didn't know that Washington was offered Grandmaster of Virginia, but turned it down.
Yeah, and then Right Worship Brother Mo still talks about, he never accepted to be Grandmaster, and the Grandmaster today wears that jewel that was created for him, but the Grandmasters wear it now.
Wow.
Right Worship Brother Mo, I'm sure home life is bad, and not being able to be able to get out and travel because you're a world-renowned lecturer and traveler and speaker. But I'm sure Miss Wendy probably loves this time for you to be home, and I'm sure you guys both are working a lot of hours. So, please be careful. Be careful up there in the midst of all that stuff. So anything, we'd love to get more viewer response and more inclusive when we're doing these live casts. Because next week we'll do a pre-recorded show on Thursday. We're going to do it and it'll be posted out. But we just want to have more involvement from you guys.
Yeah, I know it's tough right now that we don't have that outlet. I know it's been frustrating for me. It's been frustrating for Brother Wiley. How do you? I know this helps with some Masonic Fix. I know it helps me and Wiley a lot to get to just talk. We don't have anyone to interrupt us. We can say whatever we want, whenever we want, and no one gets to say otherwise. I mean, you guys interject, but we get to say whatever's on top of our hearts, on top of our minds. Are you practicing in your own? Do you go to a quiet space in your house and do some practicing in your head or out loud where no one can hear you? Lectures, ritual work, anything like that? Are you guys keeping up with that in your heads and in your minds? Because when we go back to Lodge, we know it'll happen. Well, that first couple of openings is going to be real rough.
Well, I'm sure we'll need a lot of rusty nail degrees to get us reacclimated to a lot of things we're doing. I saw Worship Brother Pleasure talking about his church is hosting a community event, a community-wide drive-in church at the flea market on Sunday. They got the sheriff and the county's approval. That is fantastic. Awesome. For where you live. I did see that Worship Brother Steve Mears passed away. He's one of the first known COVID-19 brothers that I know of in the state that's passed away. There's also past potentate Steve Pageant. Most of you may not know him. I've known him for most of my adult life. He and his wife Dee Dee. Steve has been battling cancer for the last couple of years, and he's in bad shape. Please keep those in your prayers, and if you know any other brothers out there, please let us know. I see that Brother Mo's Lodge is having a virtual meeting on the meeting night tomorrow night.
With a guest speaker from Vermont.
But it's open to the first 100 persons. I know that's pretty cool. I see Brother Ed's ready to confer a master's degree as soon as possible. All I can tell you is I'm just ready to sit and lodge. I'm just ready to have just to be able to have a fraternal gathering and be able to get together as friends and brothers. That's what I miss the most, Will. I mean, we talked about what Brother Truman spoke about, but with a young boy or Masons all over the world still being able to recognize each other in darkness as well as in light. But in addition to that, I miss the friendships. Mm-hmm. I miss the relationships. You know, we know as Masons, or if you don't know, you're missing out. We're in the people business.
Yeah.
You know, we're not only in the people business, we in the brother business. You know, when somebody's your brother, that means they become your family. Even those that you have never met before. I'm sure my wife is ready for me to go to a meeting. But anyway, I get back on my topic that we're in the people business. And when you go as many years as some of you who are watching this cast tonight go to meetings on a regular basis, you take for granted that you're in the people business.
Well, speaking of that, do we have any 50-year Masons watching us tonight? I'm going to ask this in chunks throughout the show, but do we have any 50-year Masons watch? 50-year or more. If you are, post how many years you've been a Mason. Go ahead.
I see that someone just said that I should be putting time out. Then there wouldn't be a show. But I would hope that everybody would follow Worst Brother Ivy Smith's lead and spend time on your Masonic Education Leadership Development courses.
Well, we've had that happen because I've received several emails from the brethren. Who do I turn my stuff into? Where do I turn into? And I'll post up a link, an email that you can send those things to so that we can get those certificates put out. But we've had several brethren who've done all of the courses since they've been quarantined. So we've got them out there trying. Now, my second question tonight is, how many 25-year Masons do we have watching tonight? I'm sure we're going to get... I didn't see any 50s, but I bet you we have some 25s or better.
So, but you heard me talking about being in the people business. I'm very serious about that. You know, we as Masons in the last 2 years, just specifically in this state, in my opinion, Wiley's opinion, we know what that's like. Everybody's got one. But anyway, Wiley's opinion is brethren in this state have forgotten how to be brethren.
Here we go.
I've been thinking about it. It's been pressing on my heart. It's been preaching. Brethren, brotherly love is supposed to have a different meaning to you as a Mason. Period. You promised you'd be a certain way, you'd act a certain way, talk a certain way, and be a certain way. Why can't we all do that? Will? We've asked that question a million times. You make promises and it's almost like you can't keep them.
Yeah. But this is going to bring a lot of people back.
Absolutely.
Back to where we belong. I think I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, I'm going to continue to say it. This has been good for the community of humans as a whole, because it's brought us back down to earth. We found out what's essential in our lives. We found out what's non-essential. And people are going day to day with what they need, not just what they want. And I think that the need has been shown that brotherly love, morality, and relief are needed, are very essential. And we're getting to that point that people are going to realize that they don't need all those frivolous things as long as they have the love of their family, their brethren, their significant others, their children. They don't need all that goofy stuff that they just buy just to buy, because you can't take it with you when you pass.
Well, you're talking about the lapel extender, right? The one that gets all the pins that like hang to the floor, and the person walks like they're one-sided. You're talking about that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you, I'm a collector of pins and coins. You can see them hanging on the wall. What's left up here, but my brother, my noble brethren from over at Gwinnett Shrine Club posted that, we should live masonry every day, not just when it's convenient.
It's 24/7, 365.
Yeah, y'all hear me talk about it all the time. Masonry is a way of life.
Absolutely.
You chose to live this lifestyle once you were accepted into a lodge. Okay? So if we live that lifestyle and live according to the precepts that were taught to us as Masons, then what are you going to get? A better version of yourself, which is the whole concept of taking a man and making him better. So if we're going to do those things, if you're going to get out here and talk about masonry and you're going to talk about it to your brethren and you're going to talk about it in your lodges and lecture, you got to be able to walk the walk. If you're going to say it, you better back it up.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we fail at that, brethren, and we should challenge each other to be better versions of ourselves purely based on the principles that we're taught. And number two is what our new normal is going to be after we get through this pandemic. Our new normal is going to be different. The haves and the have-nots are equally as have and not right now.
Everybody is. You want to talk about on the level? Right now, the country and the world are pretty much on the level. It's kind of neat to see, and I'm really proud of the brethren because I have seen that reach out, that brother. I got a text from the master of a lodge that I go to, but it's not the master of my lodge. I've received texts from the master of my lodge too, but I'm receiving texts from brothers from other lodges and masters from other lodges, making sure I'm okay. That is just cool, because normally when we weren't in this, I wasn't receiving those texts. Hey, how are you doing? How's the family doing? And it's so cool to have my phone blow up with those kind of messages that just make your heart feel good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They just make you feel good because you touched another person enough with brotherly love and with being a Mason that they're wanting to reach out to you and see how you are. See how your family is. See how your home life is. Do you need anything? Do you want anything? And then of course you reciprocate back to them when you answer them. So it's really cool to see this. Yes, we've asked that question a number of times, but I think we're starting to see that move.
Oh, absolutely.
Back to where Masonry's foundation and heart belongs.
That's right. I mean, right now this pandemic, like you said, it's one of those great levelers. You know what I'm saying? It really brings us back to square one, where men of like minds meet together on the level to share friendship and brotherly love. That's what Masonry should always be. That's what it has been to me in my life. But most of all, we can have all the video meetings that we want to have, brother. We can do these webcasts till we fall over. But there is nothing better than sitting in a lodge and hearing a worshipful master declare that lodge open, and we pledge allegiance to the United States or wherever you are in the world, and when that prayer comes down, there's no greater feeling than that, to let the brethren dwell together in unity. There's no greater feeling to me personally. It is one of the most gratifying and fulfilling experiences in my life. I love my family, I love my wife, I love my kids, but I love my brethren in Masonry in a different light and in a different level. Right. My wife and my children are my life, but being a Mason is inside of me.
Well, it's your way of life.
It's my way of life, and I don't think we could have said that any better. And I know that I look at all these brethren that are watching us tonight, and I know just about every brother on this list tonight, and I know how Masonry lives in their hearts. There's some specific on here that really carry a lot of weight in mentoring to me personally. Yeah. That are not bashful about calling me out on my faults and telling me when, oh boy, you put your foot in your mouth then, didn't you?
Well, and one of the things I've got to say about the brethren that we have online, that we've had online for these casts, brethren, it's fantastic, and it really does our heart good to see that we have Grand Lodge officers. We're all Grand Lodge if we're past master, sitting master. But it's great to see our Grand Lodge officers sitting on this and enjoying this. We've heard from them as well about how much they enjoy this, how much they enjoy seeing the brethren talk to each other in this. And so that's just, for us, it's just fantastic to see this whole thing gel as well as it has. Now I have to segue here because I've got to ask another question. And this is going to be a different question than a lot of you here in Lodge. How many of you work in a retail facility that's still considered essential as either a clerk, a stocker, or anything like that? Because you folks out there that work in those retail stores, you guys are up there with first responders and medical personnel, which I'll get to. But you all need a specific thanks tonight, because if it wasn't for you guys as well, we wouldn't be able to go in and get the items that are essential to continue our lives at home. So if you work in one of those industries where you wait on people, or you serve food, or you're a clerk at a store or whatever, you don't have to tell us what you do, but raise your hands on here, because we want to recognize you for the great things that you do. And also, if you're a truck driver, also you guys are right up there too. These two groups don't get recognized as much as they should. And I want to put a special shout out to them, because my wife works in a store and she waits on people selling stuff day to day. And I have to thank her, because she's out there in the face of it, helping people get what they need. So raise those hands for those people, and then, thank you cannot suffice enough, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. You're 100% correct. And our first responders, people that work in the healthcare industry, they know going in that they have to deal with some bad things. Mm-hmm. But these people who work in retail, they're putting in the time. You know what I'm saying? They're laying it down.
Oh yeah.
And we're so appreciative of those folks. And there's a lot of young people who are learning some valuable life lessons right now, based on what they're currently having to do. Their shifts are more. They're having to do more. But we're so appreciative of everybody. But I'm telling you, I don't know personally. I know we need to protect ourselves, but I'm ready to go back to Lodge.
I'm ready just to go somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Gas is cheap enough for us to travel. Gas is cheap enough for us to travel, and we can't go nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to look it up, because I've got an app on here called Gas Buddy.
Us 111 at the Costco here in our town, so it's what I saw earlier.
Well, the BP with this app is 108.
Yeah, so but anyway, I know we talk a lot, and we're trying to come up with our series that we want to do. We're going to do a recorded series of shows coming up. I know that we're going to do. We're going to figure out some cool stuff to do that's coming up. I want to tackle the cardinal virtues and how they mean, and some symbolic meaning behind some of those.
Well, we're going to put those together as a series of recorded 4 episodes. So it's not going to be a live interaction, but we definitely want anytime we don't do a live one like this, we still want all your feedback. We want to hear all your comments, emails, and stuff like that. So, lastly, I want to ask, and I know we've got some on here, first responders and medical personnel, raise your hands in chat. Let us know who you are, because you deserve a big thank you as well. We appreciate all you do, putting yourself out in front of harm's way, and we know it's been rough on all of you. I know Right Worshipful Brother Mo is up there in the thick of it every day with what he does. We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you being here, but raise your hand if you're a medical worker or first responder, please, because we want to recognize those folks.
Just think about this. Brother Marcus Hall, he's out of our 8th district. He said, just imagine how many brethren or how many people we wouldn't know if it wasn't for masonry. Oh, think about how
I wouldn't know Wiley.
Well, and through masonry is how I met Right Worshipful Brother Moses Gomez, and he became a mentor to me when I was up in his state, and there's no other brother in the world like him. There's just not. And then I have a couple other brethren who are extreme mentors and role models to me, and I won't give their names because if I get caught being associated with them, it'd probably ruin me. But they know.
Or them you.
No. But we can't think of it in that light. But they know who they are, and they know who means the world to me because I tell them, thank you for being part of my life. Brethren, please appreciate the people in your lives and tell them that you appreciate them. I know I'm guilty of it myself, but we don't tell our spouses how much we appreciate them. They sacrifice so much for us to be Masons. The being gone on time, I mean, they use it as serenity time for themselves.
And Michelle will probably chime in here any moment about that.
But they definitely give so much of themselves so we can be who we are. Like my wife, I'm gonna have a no-no, but my wife handles the finances, so she gets to see all my dues notices that come in every year. So how are we gonna pay for all these things? So anyway, that would not be you, Bill Garrison. But anyway.
Well, let me drop in here. One last group we absolutely have to say thank you to all, and I'm one of them. All of our veterans who are online, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do. Without you, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we have today. And let me just hit on that, because a lot of people are complaining that they're losing their freedoms for what's going on here. You're not really losing your freedoms. We're not in a Gestapo land where people pull you over and say, papers, please. The government's trying to play things safe. And I know that's disgusting to some people, and some people don't like it. But, we took an obligation to follow the rules of our country, our city, our state. We need to do that as much as possible. Use common sense. If you use common sense, you'll be good. I come over here to Wiley's twice a week. It's the only place I go. And if Wiley called me and said he was sick, then I would set he and I up on a Zoom or a Amazon Chime, and we would do this remotely. But luckily, no one in our families has been sick yet.
No, we've been lucky.
I don't go anywhere I don't need to. Just don't go to the places you don't need to. I know it's boring, but if you need to get out of the house, do like I've done. Get in the car and just drive. Yeah. The country is still beautiful.
And God is still good for those that believe in God, the Father. Whatever religion, we talk about it all the time, whatever religion that you practice, continue to pray to Him and be sure that you include this country, this world, all the Masons around the globe. The country wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for Freemasonry. That's a fact. And morals and the belief in the good of people will rise to the top in the midst of all this.
And it is.
And it's showing.
Yeah. Brother, I want to leave you with this tonight. I think we're getting close to wrapping this up, but brother, continue to do what you're doing. All of you are doing great things. All of you are helping in great ways. Continue to reach out to your brethren in your lodge. Continue to build those relationships you may not have had in the past. Call an older Mason up and let him tell you his stories. Some of the stories these older Masons have will just blow you away. Some of them are funny, some of them are very serious. Enjoy that time with them, because eventually we all have a place to go and we'll be off this earth. We only have the dash to live, as Wiley said. So live that dash to the best of your ability and love one another. And as I've said the last couple of casts, be excellent to each other, because that's the only way to be. We love you. We hope you have a great evening. We hope we've enlightened you and you enjoyed this. And please, we said it before, click the like, click the subscribe, and click the bell to get notified when our next one's coming up. Next week we'll have one live one on Tuesday. Thursday will be a recorded episode, because we'll be working on getting Wiley and Michelle packed up. And then the following Tuesday, you'll see us in our new studio.
You forgot one group that we needed to thank today.
What group is that?
That is the long road truck drivers, the delivery guys. But they need they're essential. My father told me when I was a young boy, said, son, if you don't see those big trucks on the road, the country's not moving. Right. As long as I travel up I-85 every day and I see those big trucks moving, I know there's still hope. And there's always going to be hope. But we love you, and I think that we might try to do something, if I can get settled up there enough and I can get into my books, I'd like to try to talk a little bit about things that happened in the Grand Lodge year of 1918 when the Spanish influenza went on. I'll try to work it out and try to get into those books. I'll try to do my best to try to get that done. If we don't, we'll find another topic to talk about. But once I can get my library set back up, we can just walk over and pull the book out if we want to look and see what happened.
Absolutely.
I'm very fortunate to have inherited almost a complete set of the proceedings of the Grand Lodge that from 1900 to present. I'm missing a few copies because of whatever, but for the most part, it's almost 100 books, and there's a lot of things that happen in Freemasonry that are relevant. And it's funny how the same situations happened 100 years ago. I mean, but just in a different light. But anyway, we hope everyone has a blessed Easter. Happy Passover. For those that don't practice those holidays, we love you. We're so glad. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button in addition to the notification bell. Remember that we're here for you. You can call us at any time. Don't forget about what we talked about when it comes to food or anything. Just someone to talk. The mental anguish that happens and the stress that's involved during this situation for all of us is unlike anything we've ever felt. Yeah. Sometimes it's just good to talk to a brother. We love you. We will see you on our next telecast. Or our podcast. Now I'm on TV. But anyway, we'll see you all on Tuesday, and Godspeed, and God bless Freemasonry. God bless the USA.
Yeah. Love y'all. Good night.